24. Caught. A thick humidity hung like a haze that helped the trees obscure the final rays of day that had dissolved into a muggy evening where swarms of flying things were out and feasting. The wooden schoolhouse, painted eggshell white, appeared a shade of gray through misty light. The eerie setting caused them both to cower, and Clancy said, "Looks different at this hour." Thomas answered, "Yeah, I hate this place. Everywhere I look, I see his face. Let's make it quick." "I will. Which window is it?" "It's this one here. You gotta fidget with it." Clancy tried to get the window raised. "Ain't budging." "Gotta move it this ways." Thomas strained but got the base to lift as Boone inhaled a long, inquisitive sniff. Macree inhaled as well, regaining poise, as if this were for all the beaten boys. And Clancy said, "All right. Well, here I go. If you see anything, you let me know." "Of course. But hurry getting eaten alive out here," said Thomas, boosting him inside. He crept in through the window like a spider and used his back to nudge the window wider. When once inside, he didn't dare to walk. He crawled upon his belly like a croc. And as his feet had cleared the windowsill, a carriage could be seen atop the hill. Thomas studied as the carriage crested, but Boone began to growl as it descended. The realization sank the Maury's heart. It was the Deacon Dowdy's horse and cart. He whispered through the window, "Dowdy's here! Come back!" Clancy was sure he was sincere, and so the warning struck like Terry's rock, as did the clunk of the releasing lock. There wasn't time to make it back, and so he crawled to Dowdy's desk and crouched below the knee-well, pulling in the chair to hide, as Thomas pulled the window down the slide. The only thing that Tom could do was watch, and once the door was clicked into its notch, a carried lantern glowed against the wall, like down the hallway rolled a fireball. Thomas thought that he observed a ghost, since Dowdy was still at the hitching post. It was no ghost he saw, but flesh and blood, and a familiar face of one beloved. Though Clancy couldn't see beyond the desk, he knew those footstep clacks from all the rest. There was no chance that Clancy was mistaken. Those leather soles belonged to Millie Macon. Before the Deacon walked inside, she blew the lantern out, which darkened Tommy's view. There in the darkness, Clancy held his breath to try to still the pounding in his chest. The booming thuds resounding through his veins were like the thumping wheels of passing trains, with steam that nearly made his whistle hoot as Clancy heard the stomps of Dowdy's boots. Right by the desk, their voices, Dowdy's first. "Your lips will surely quench a lover's thirst," which followed with the sounds of slopping goop, like someone moaning while they slurped their soup. "Now let's unwrap this gift. We need to talk." "My hands will do the talking. Don't you block." "Please, Nathan, stop. There's something you must know." "Save tell for later. Now it's time for show." She said, "Stop. I hate it when you drink." "The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Don't I deserve a drink?" "And that's not all. A nibble of forbidden fruit is small." Clancy's shock was squeezed into a glower, and then disgust like tasting something sour. Above their words, he heard a push and pull, as if a sheep were wrestled for its wool. "Come on now, Millie, don't put up a fight." But she insisted. "Stop it, not tonight." He said, "Can't stop a train that's left the station." Miss Millie shouted, "Stop! I'm pregnant, Nathan." Though Clancy couldn't see the Deacon's face, he pictured Dowdy frozen, stuck in place, because the heavy news Miss Millie dropped had brought that locomotive to a stop. As Clancy heard Miss Millie fix her dress, a silence filled the room with awkwardness. And when the deacon gave her no reply, it caused the woman to begin to cry. No words of consolation would there be. Instead, he stated, "This could finish me." Another pause. "You certain that it's mine?" She huffed through tears. "You know I'm not that kind." "If you would not deny a married man, then why would any suitor have a ban?" Clancy heard the thwop of skin on skin, as if her hand was stopped from smacking him. "Don't make me lift my hand to you," he seethed. "I'm sure I'm not the only man you've pleased." She cried, "Don't ever question me again. You are my first and last and all there's been. Of course it's yours. Now what are we to do?" "We must get rid of it. That much is true." The woman squeaked with shame. "Well, I could never. And Doc was clear he wouldn't whatsoever." "The doctor knows!" And with a single swing, the deacon roared and knocked off everything that was atop his desk as Clancy flinched. He clenched his eyes in dread and kept them cinched. The outburst made Miss Millie shriek with fright, as if he were a burglar in the night. Though Millie tried to back away from him, it sounded like he yanked her by the limb. Clancy detected that Boone was outside whining and barked with worry at the tensions rising. Though Clancy heard him, Dowdy was too focused, so window-deadened barking went unnoticed. The deacon screamed, "You told him it was mine?" Afraid, she said, "He asked, but I declined." Her reassurance softened Dowdy's tone. "You've always been discreet. I should have known. But soon there won't be any hiding this. I cannot bear the thought of seeing Tish." And as those words were spoken, she gave way to weeping for the friend that she betrayed. So Dowdy said, "You had no ill intent. But since you want to cause her no despair, she mustn't ever know of this affair." Although the boy could only see their feet, he saw the deacon's boots and Millie's meat. And Dowdy said, "It's not that we've done wrong. We never thought that she would live this long." Again she cried, but it was muffled, nearly mute, and Clancy guessed she wept into his suit. Though Millie tried to talk as she was sobbing, the drowned hysteric sounded more like coughing. What Clancy could discern was, "Never meant." The crying stopped, and Millie sniffed her nose. She took a couple breaths to get composed. "We have to tell her. She will understand. We fell in love. It's nothing that we planned." The deacon's tone was firm. "You hear me well. There isn't anyone that we can tell, except a different doctor, far from here. I know he'll make this problem disappear." She said, "I couldn't even bear the thought." He said, "I know, my dear, but we are caught and have no choice. Just think the matter through. You must consider others, not just you. You want to break a dying woman's heart? And do you want to rip the church apart? You like the money, huh? The fancy clothes? Well, all that goes away if we're exposed. And what of me? Your dad will see me swing. You have to choose between two dreadful things. Yet no one suffers, see, if no one knows. Think about when once your stomach shows. A child out of wedlock? You'll be spurned. They'll shake their fingers when your back is turned. And every whispered word will be about the trollop with her belly sticking out. And you'd become unsightly to the eye, so you can kiss the pageant belle goodbye. And have you given thought about your mother? My word, I doubt the woman would recover. Reason on it, Millie. What is worse? To end a pregnancy, although it hurts, or paint all Cartersville in scarlet shame, and force the innocent to carry blame. Let's free them all from something scandalous, and let the other doctor handle this." As moments passed, she didn't make a sound, and Clancy waited huddled on the ground. Miss Millie finally said, "I curse this day. This all sounds awful. There's no other way." He said, "The right thing's always hard to do. But this is right for Tish and me and you." She said, "It's hard to see how this is right. I fear the Lord will banish me from sight." "He knows that you are only made of dust, and weak to all temptations such as lust. But we've been saved, and thus we're always saved. So he forgives us for mistakes we've made. He will appreciate your sacrifice that spares the many like the blood of Christ." For seconds, Millie contemplated hard. She said, "If this is something I discard, it will be like a piece of me has died. And I will need you there, right by my side." "And I would gladly be, but if I'm seen, the rumor mill will churn like a machine. A face that's known is easier to spot. Then all your sacrifice would be for naught. My dear, I'm sorry, I could never go." "Well, then I'm sure my mama will." "No! We may as well just print it in the paper. You know your mother's talkative by nature. Although she pays the tithe and is devout, you can't deny she has a gossip's mouth." She snapped, "I have to do this all alone? Without my mama there and far from home? I just can't do it, Nathan." Again she wept. He said, "It's something that you must accept. But Millie, think how happy you will be to wear a wedding dress up next to me within the church. I swear we will be wed. A gaudy ring, a garland on your head. So have the surgery, I'll pay the cost, or all the things you've dreamt of will be lost." Their voices trailed as footsteps drummed the floor, which echoed down the hallway toward the door. He heard a squeaky knob, a forceful slam of the heavy schoolhouse door against the jamb. The voices stopped and everything was still. His neck hair prickled as if the air was chilled, and that impelled the boy to move with haste, suspecting that there wasn't time to waste. He pushed the chair and scrambled to his feet, while glancing back and forth just like a thief. The scent of Millie's perfume lingered there, and Dowdy's whiskey breath still filled the air. And there it was, the whip upon the wall, that haunted students' nightmares, his and all. Then with a shaking hand he reached and gripped the handle of the Deacon's riding whip. The tightly braided leather, thick and cold, felt sinister and powerful to hold. The handle grip was stiff and wouldn't bend, but it was pliant towards its biting end. So Clancy wrapped the whip around his hand. The 2-foot strap became a 10-inch span. He shoved it in his pocket, deep and wide, and felt it fight the coil once inside. Quickly Clancy reached into the bib of his overalls to grab what he had hid, a shelled pecan, still whole and picturesque, and left it on the teacher's pinewood desk. Scurrying to the window, Clancy tried to get the unlatched, tricky window pried, and once he did, he quietly snuck out, but left the window like an open mouth. He sprinted through the playground to the trees, as if an outlaw chased by the police, while Dowdy entered back into the school. His face was sullen, still his eyes were cruel. The Deacon kicked a book amid the mess, and stewed, then started fixing up his desk. Though lost in thought, still something caught his eye, the brown pecan against the yellow pine. He picked it up and placed it in his hand. Suspiciously, he gave the room a scan and saw the window open like a yawn. He snapped his head and found the whip was gone. His anger boiled till the kettle hissed, and Doughty crushed the nut inside his fist. He marched up to the window, stooped to see. Into the darkness, Doughty screamed, "Macree!"